Ever wonder why you feel so mentally exhausted after a long day of thinking, even if you haven't moved a muscle? It's because your brain is an absolute energy hog. Seriously, this little 3-pound organ sitting inside your skull, which is only about 2% of your body weight, devours a staggering 20% of your body's total energy budget when you're just sitting there doing nothing. That's more than your heart, your liver, or almost any other organ. So, what on earth is it doing up there to burn through so much fuel? Let's dive into the fascinating, high-energy world of the human brain. First off, let's talk about the brain's basic job, communication. Your brain is made up of about 86 billion neurons, and these tiny cells are constantly talking to each other through electrical signals. Think of it like a massive, non-stop electrical grid. To send a signal, a neuron fires what's called an action potential. This process involves a rapid exchange of charged particles, or ions, like sodium and potassium, across the neuron's membrane. Now, here's the catch. After each signal, the neuron has to reset itself, pushing those ions back to where they started. This isn't a passive process, it's hard work. The neuron uses tiny molecular pumps that run on ATP, which is the main energy currency of our cells. These pumps work tirelessly, even when you're not actively thinking about anything specific. This constant maintenance, just keeping the neurons ready to fire, accounts for a huge chunk of the brain's energy bill. It's like keeping a fleet of cars with their engines idling 24/7, just in case they need to speed off at a moment's notice. But the real energy guzzler is what happens at the connections between neurons, the synapses. This is where the magic of thought, memory, and feeling truly happens. When one neuron sends a message to another, it doesn't just send an electrical spark across the gap. Instead, it releases chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. Imagine billions of tiny mail carriers delivering messages across microscopic gaps. This entire process is incredibly energy intensive. First, the neurotransmitters have to be packaged into little bubbles called vesicles. Recent studies have found that these vesicles are surprisingly leaky. The machinery that fills them up has to constantly work to keep them full, even at synapses that aren't currently active. It's like trying to keep a leaky bucket full of water. You have to keep pouring more in just to maintain the level. This background activity is a major reason why our brains are always burning fuel. Then, when the signal actually arrives, the vesicle releases its neurotransmitters into the synapse. These chemicals travel across the gap, bind to the next neuron, and either excite it or inhibit it. Afterwards, those neurotransmitters need to be cleared out, either by being broken down or recycled back into the original neuron. Every single step packaging, releasing, receiving, and recycling requires a significant amount of ATP. Multiply that by the trillions of synapses in your brain, firing thousands of times per second, and you start to get a picture of the immense metabolic cost of simply thinking. It's a constant, furious dance of molecular machinery that never, ever stops. Another major drain on your brain's energy resources is its incredible ability to change and adapt, a property we call neuroplasticity. Your brain isn't a fixed static circuit board. It's constantly remodeling itself based on your experiences. When you learn something new, whether it's a new language, a musical instrument, or even just a new fact, your brain physically changes. It strengthens some existing connections and weakens others. This process of building and maintaining brain structure is like a never-ending construction project. It requires the constant synthesis of new proteins, lipids, and other molecules to build new dendrites, axons, and synaptic components. This structural upkeep is what allows us to learn, form memories, and recover from injury. But all this construction work demands a steady supply of energy and raw materials, adding yet another layer to the brain's high metabolic demands. It's the price we pay for a brain that can grow and learn throughout our entire lives. Now, here's a critical piece of the puzzle that makes the brain's energy situation even more precarious. It has virtually no way to store its own fuel. Unlike your muscles or liver, which can store a sugar called glycogen for later use, your brain lives hand-to-mouth. It depends entirely on a continuous second-by-second supply of glucose and oxygen delivered through the bloodstream. It cannot stock up for later. This is why even a brief interruption of blood flow to the brain, just for a few seconds, can cause you to lose consciousness, and a few minutes can lead to irreversible damage. Your brain has a sophisticated system to manage this constant demand. It's called neurovascular coupling. When a specific region of your brain becomes more active, it immediately signals the nearby blood vessels to dilate, increasing blood flow and delivering more glucose and oxygen exactly where they're needed. This intricate coordination between neurons and blood vessels ensures that the brain gets the fuel it needs, right when it needs it. So when you're concentrating hard on a problem, you're literally rerouting more blood, and therefore more energy, to the parts of your brain doing the heavy lifting. So, why did we evolve this incredibly expensive organ in the first place? This brings us to the expensive brain hypothesis. From an evolutionary perspective, a big, powerful brain is a massive trade-off. It provides incredible advantages like complex problem-solving, language, social cooperation, and tool use. These abilities allowed our ancestors to find food, avoid predators, and build complex societies, ultimately leading to our success as a species. But all that cognitive firepower comes at a steep metabolic price. This evolutionary pressure likely shaped many aspects of our biology and behavior. For example, it might explain why human infants are born so helpless, with relatively underdeveloped brains that continue to grow and consume huge amounts of energy for years after birth. It also highlights the importance of a high-quality, energy-rich diet in human evolution. We had to secure reliable sources of calories to fuel these demanding brains. In essence, we traded metabolic efficiency for cognitive complexity. Our brain is a luxury organ, a piece of high-performance biological machinery that gives us our unique mental world, but it requires constant premium fuel to keep it running. To wrap it all up, your brain's incredible thirst for energy comes from a combination of factors. It's the constant electrical maintenance, keeping billions of neurons primed and ready to fire. It's the hugely expensive process of communication at trillions of synapses, with leaky vesicles that need constant refilling. It's the perpetual construction project of neuroplasticity as your brain rewires itself to learn and adapt. And it's all happening in an organ that can store fuel and demands an uninterrupted supply from your blood. So the next time you feel that mental fatigue, remember the astonishing amount of work happening inside your head. Your brain is running a marathon every single second of every single day. Thanks so much for watching and exploring the high-energy world of the brain with us. If you found this fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the wonders of science. See you in the next video.